Bill could never tell this story without tears. It was just so very dear to him. And he didn't make a lot of it unless somebody would ask him. He just didn't tell the story unless somebody asked him. Bill was studying with a friend, Hugh Brahm, and about 2 o'clock in the morning, Bill began to chat about sharing the importance of college students. And if you're going to reach the world, the best place to start is with college students. All of a sudden, as he was talking about the campus, it was just as if there was an explosion in his mind of a world map or a world globe, and that of people coming from everywhere, and the whole concept, we can change the world, students can change the world, we can start with students. And it wasn't just a campus idea, it was to begin there, but it was to encompass the whole world and every sphere of influence. But the place to begin was on the campus. That night, they actually got out and ran in the Hollywood Hills. It was just so energizing, and it was just as if Bill could not contain himself. And he now knew what he was going to do, that God was calling him to the college campus to win the campus for the world, the campuses of the world for Christ today, win the world for Christ tomorrow. Well, the next morning, when I woke up, he came bounding down the steps. He said, "Oh, honey, I now know what God wants us to do. We're going to move to the UCLA campus. We're going to sell our businesses. We're going to get out of business. We're going to live by faith. We're just going to live on what the Lord provides for us, and we'll live by faith." Well, how do you respond to that? I probably stood with my mouth open, listening, and there was obviously God had touched this man in some way during the night, and that he knew exactly what he wanted to do. And I knew enough from my training from my mother and experience that I was not to burst this bubble, that I was not to say, "Oh, that's ridiculous," or "Come on, get your feet on the ground, it's not going to happen that way," or to do anything. And I loved him too much, I wouldn't have hurt him, but I knew too that I didn't want to squelch any kind of an idea that would be possibility that this was what God was telling him to do. And but I can remember the picture standing there talking about living by faith. And I thought, who do I know that lives by faith? I don't know anybody lives by faith who is living like I was promised that we were going to live. And I could see myself with a button-down dress that was fitting too tight in tennis shoes, literally. That's what I thought, this is where you're going to end up, Vonette. But I couldn't help but be enthusiastic for him, that he knew what God wanted him to do. And of course, Bill was far more mature than I was about all of this, and it just seemed to me that I was always just a little bit behind, and he was still so, "Oh, honey, just think of what it's going to be, what it will be to be able to work with students, and we'll just see, we've got to recruit people from different campuses." He began to talk about what we were going to do. And I was very troubled by how was I going to fit into this. I felt led to kneel down at the end of the bed, and I can tell you the exact spot, and just said, "Lord, if you want us to do this, then you've got to give me the heart to respond, because this just seems so foreign to me, and I don't feel prepared in any way to do this." And it had to come from God. Those were not thoughts, I think, that I thought up in any way at all. But to think that God gave me the heart to respond. Well, he went to Fuller Seminary that morning and talked with Dr. Wilbur Smith. Dr. Wilbur Smith was an Old Testament scholar and one of the most warm-hearted intellectuals I've ever known. And he said, "Dr. Smith, I now know what God wants me to do." And he told him the story of this vision that had happened to him, what had happened to him. And Dr. Smith began to pace the floor. And he said, "This is of God." I could just see him. If you knew him, an older man, he put his hands behind behind his back, and he would walk and pace when he was really thinking, and had a way of putting his fingers up to his lips. But dear, dear saint. But he said, this is of God, this is of God, this is of God. And he took out a piece of paper and he said, come here, I got the name for your organization. CCC, Campus Crusade for Christ. And that became our name. To tell this story, we've many times said that the secret of this ministry is not Bill and Vonette Bright, but it's the caliber of people that God has sent to us, and it's been a family effort, and the investment of people totally committed to Christ has made it what it is. We just happen to be two people from a little small town in Coweta, Oklahoma, and God put us together, and it's been one miracle after another. In fact, when we became engaged, Bill's sister said, it's just fantasy. And I'd have to say that's just about what it's been. It's been a dream come true, and a remarkable kind of putting two people together. So to God be the glory.